Hello, welcome to episode number 4 of Getting Started with Houdini, and in this one we'll be actually working on a low poly scene that we will be modeling inside of Houdini using some procedural things, using some direct modeling things like extrusions, selections, grouping, and then we actually will create everything here using and colorize it using the color nodes, and then we'll export it to Unreal Engine where we can just play, fly around, zoom around, just check out our lighting and everything else. And yeah, let's have a good time and learn something new, and let's get started. All right, so let's create our low poly scene. First things first, I'm gonna just drop some geometry, file, save as, get started with Houdini, low poly scene, accept, and make sure that autosave is being enabled just in case. So we create our first geometry, go inside, start typing circle. Here it is. Let's say divisions number will be 8 on the ZX plane. And of course we can do the poly extrude. Let's see, distance, I'm guessing will be negative. We don't need to output the front because, well, honestly, we don't need it. And tweak the distance as we like. Next up, what we're gonna do is we will inset it a little bit because it will be really useful for our lighthouse to be inset because that's how they look, I think. And of course, we increase the number of divisions so we can have some kind of red sprites going in and out. So next up, as you can see, inside it looks gray, but outside it kind of looks blue. It means that our normals are reversed. And the easiest way to do the reverse is basically drop the node that's called reverse. As the name suggests, basically it reverses the normals. As you can see, inside is blue and outside is gray. That's what we need. Let's do some modeling inside of the viewport. First things first, let's go to the top, and on the second drop down, I'll select the poly modeling, as you can see. And when I press the C key, we'll see that there is a pie menu that we can use to basically model anything we want. So I will go to select, again, that's S key. And if you're not sure what's going on the bottom left, you can see what I'm pressing, like tab, S, escape, enter, everything. So S3 to select the edges. And here I can start typing poly extrude. And now if I move my middle mouse button, you can see I'm actually extruding things. And of course, the only thing we actually need is not distance, is not inset, but actually we need to transform the extruded front. All we gotta do is to make it kind of like this. Next up, with everything here selected already, I just press Q button. This will repeat the previous operation in the viewport. Oops, and as you can see, let's see, point normals, yep. We can extrude it on the top. Again, press Q, point normals. I think you can have a little bit of a practice with all of this because pressing Q and going to the right and going back, maybe it takes a little bit of a practice. If it doesn't come super easy to you, just repeat this a couple of times. I think you'll be fine. Again, Q to point normal, extrude the top, and this time around we are going to not inset but transform, scale it a little bit down once again, and another extrusion, another one, transform, scale. All right, this looks fine. Well, this is a little bit too much. Another extrusion, another transform. This time around, all we're gonna do is just get it on the top and scale a little bit down. And as the final thing, with everything selected, again, press tab. And by the way, I enabled the kind of orange selection mode by just pressing the S key. We can do the polyfill, shift enter, And there we go. All right, cool. Our top part is ready, I think. We can now double click, select everything on the bottom. Again, poly extrude. Go here, point normal. Go outside a little bit, press Q, point normal, and move it down. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Finally, we can start colorizing a little bit. So we can go back to poly extrusion number 10 and say it is the foundation, so to speak, right? And so that we can, tweak it, be bigger or smaller based on how we are tweaking our terrain. Right, so how do we colorize the vertex colors? Is we drop the color node. First thing, color node will do pretty much nothing, but actually what it does, it applies the colorization, because if we start changing these numbers, or indeed just move about here, the colors will change. And the fact that you think that it's applied white but nothing has changed, as you can see, it's white as well, this is white as well. Actually, it did not have color before. As you can see, the only attribute was point, position, I'm sorry. And now we have 2 point attributes, position and CD, as in color diffuse. So now that everything here is white, we can actually start selecting things here and colorize them. Again, I'll enter the selection mode, press S. Now I press 4. As you can see, it will select primitives. And I'll just hover over this. And on the bottom, you will have a couple of ideas for selections. So what we're going to do is hold down the A key. Again, just left click here, hold down A key, and then middle mouse button. Ta-da! Here we go. Next up, again, I think we can do with a little bit of stripe. Again, Shift A, middle mouse button. And here I think Shift A, middle mouse button. Now we can drop another color node and make it red. So, whoops, kind of like this. However, this does not look very good, right? Because we need to color in out the points, because points will interpolate through the polygons. What we need to do is make it vertex here and vertex here. And as you can see, it fixed the problem. So this way of using vertex, as the name suggests, vertex colors, we'll be using it in Unreal Engine to actually colorize inside of Material Shader using just the vertex color. So again, don't forget to switch from points, right, to vertex, because otherwise, like here, it will be looking kind of weird and wrong. So again, vertex. Next up, let's just select everything. Whoops. Again, left mouse button, A, middle mouse button, then Shift A, middle mouse button, another color. Again, this will be vertex. And let's make this kind of gray, because foundation. And here, I think we can select everything here, do the poly extrude. And now we can inset it a little bit, individual elements. And you will see that we can actually do the front group, which will be named extrude front. We can name it anything we want. And let's actually rename it to colored windows. And now, if I drop down the color node, I can select the group colored windows. And I can make the vertex color to be blue, kind of like this. So that's perfect. And I'm guessing we can make the top thing, the roof part. Again, left mouse button, then A, middle mouse button, Shift, and just let's click it like that. And then again, Shift A, middle mouse button, color, And let's make the same color. Which was it? Here we go. Red. 10101. Let's type it like here. Right, cool. And of course, forgot to make it vertex. Now we have everything ready to go. All we gotta do is add some ground, water, and kind of like that. All that stuff. So how do we do that? Let's create a sphere. Let's first press the E key or just left mouse button on this template flag so we can see our wireframe of our lighthouse, and we start working with our sphere. So for now, I think we'll make a reasonably large, I would say, sphere, remesh it. All right. Target size a bit larger. And I think what we can do now is soft transform. So to make a soft transform, what we're going to do is select some of these, press enter, and as you can see, it indeed has this selection. Now what we're going to do is scale it down in the y-axis, kind of like this, and then move it down. It's a little bit too flat, I think, but let's see. All right, this looks somewhat fine. So again, transform, another transform, because I don't usually transform everything at once. I don't find it particularly great. And you know what? I'm thinking if this is water, let's actually start with, let's leave it here, okay? And add another sphere and make the ground. All right, so again, press E, and now let's work with this sphere. Okay, right. Getting back to our thing. Let's do the ground. First of all, let's do the uniform scale, and I guess we can make it just a polygon to not remesh it. And we do the mountain. One of my favorite nodes. It's kind of like the really fast displacements along normals. So let's see. Again, currently what I'm doing is I'm sort of doing it by heart, by hand, you know, by my eye or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. It's just personal preference at this point, right? So we make it color, kind of like brownish, sort of like this. And I think we're ready to merge this to just see how it works together. Again, you can just type merge, press enter, and move them both. Or the faster way, just select them both, hold down the Alt, left mouse button, and you are done. And of course, here, let's make this color kind of blue, turquoise, something between those lines. And merge it as well. So here's what we have. Not particularly good. By the way, as you can see, it ruins our lighthouse. So what we can do is go back to our, first of all, we go back to our ground and make this vertex. And of course, here, vertex, and everything is fixed. So I definitely do not like our water, so to speak. First things first, you know what? I think what we're gonna do is just almost completely redo our water thing. Again, I'm just getting into the sphere that was the water, and it got remeshed. Let's see. I want it to be a bit more kind of like flattened like this. All right. And I'm guessing another mountain node will not hurt. Let's see what we have. But before that, I think we can, whoops, remesh once again. This is a little bit too much. All right. Cool. So now we are having something. I think we'll do another transform, and this time around we will just scale it on the X and on the Z, kind of like this. Move it up a little bit. All right. Color is a little bit too bright. Cool. Still, color doesn't look right for whatever reason. I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure what was going on, but we fixed that. And let's get back our color to this stage. So now what we're gonna do is work with our ground a little bit, because again, that was just a temporary thing. So now what we're gonna do is actually press E on the merge, and let's go back to our transformations and start working from there. Select some of those. By the way, this enables or disables connected UV, connected geometry, or something else. You unpress this button so it kind of becomes the regular selection. And again, I'll just transform it. As you can see, right now it's under some sort of a weird angle. It's not bad or anything. It's just that it's oriented against those normals of the points. So how do you change that? You can right-click, align handle to the object, world, view, C plane, or component. As you can see right now it's under components, or you just press the M key, and that works just fine as well. Kind of like this. Let's see. All right, this isn't too bad. I think it's kind of not too bad. Yeah, is all I'm gonna say. Also, I'm gonna select those, transform them to the bottom, and scale them a little bit so it kind of looks like that. And finally, I think we can remesh it. Oops. Okay. Remesh it somewhere like this, and drop another mountain, just so that it's a little bit more noised up. Kind of like that will be just fine. And finally, we'll have the merge. All right, so now finally it looks good. The only thing that we have to add that it lacks, from my point of view, is some wacky clouds, which will we do with spheres. All right, so we have the sphere. Actually, this will be most fun, I guess. Again, oops, not mesh. Sphere, convert it to polygon. Make it a little bit larger. Squash it somewhat on the y-axis, maybe even on the radial, something like this. Yeah, this should work. Drop another mountain and just start playing with that. I think let's increase the frequency of our cloud a little bit and decrease the amplitude, or maybe increase the amplitude but increase the element size. Let's see, I'm not sure exactly which will work better. You know what? What shall we do? Is we actually will use two spheres. As you can see, I just created the copy. Again, left mouse button, hold down the Alt, move, and creates the copy. This sphere will be sort of kind of like it, but not really. It will be moved a little bit to the right, to the top, as you can see. But we will group those. Now, right now, these two elements, they are separated geometry. And I think I want them to be one geometry. So how do you do that? Is Boolean. We select both of those, get it into Boolean. And right now, if I'm not mistaken, what happens is that this Boolean actually cuts one geometry out of another. But what we want to do is actually do the union. So these two spheres become one geometry, one sphere. Again, quick remesh. We're using a lot of same nodes today, but you know, this will do just fine. And finally, we have some sort of interesting looking cloud. Okay, so the clouds, whoa, no, my bad. The clouds should be color. I'm constantly getting back to the cloud node, which we will talk about in a different tutorial, so this is coming up. Don't worry, it will be a little bit later, but it will be glorious. I can promise you that much. All right, so we have this cloud. If we merge the cloud right now, we will see that, first of all, it's positioned kind of wrong, but nothing we cannot fix with the transform. Something like this. Something like this. Next up, I think we can do a full copy of this stuff and move those spheres. Where is it? Move those spheres to a different place. As you can see, let's see, E here, move it a little bit there, maybe squash it differently. So we have some kind of variation on how our clouds look. And let's see what we have as a result. We have another cloud. As you can see, these clouds, they look different because the mountain node, which actually just applies noise is position based. So if the position is different, the noise looks differently. And of course, we can just tweak the element size a little bit, maybe play with the amplitude, and then we can transform that just in case, right? And merge everything again. So let's see where this is. All right, let's move those clouds a little bit. Maybe a bit higher. I think we will be looking at it from this angle. So that's looking pretty fine. Again, as you can see, our colors have been ruined. That is because we forgot to change the colorization to vertexes, or vertices, however you want to pronounce it. And that's pretty much it. The last thing we need to do is to actually apply some normals. Do the cusp angle. In fact, I'm just going to show you what happens without the normals and with the normals when we export it to Unreal Engine using the nodes. Now, as you see, lighthouse. As you see, we can actually export using just File, Export, Filmbox, FBX. We can move the object export here. However, this is a lot of clicking. There is a node that does exactly that calls FBX RUP. Here we go. So what we're going to do is there's the output file that calls hip out FBX. It will be, where is it? In documents and in our, well, basically in our, let's see, hip job, hip. It will be cloud.fbx. Accept. Export in ASCII format, disable this, press save to disk, and you will see that our FBX is saved. So indeed, if I go to my getting started with Houdini projects, you will see that we have the cloud FBX, which is weird because actually it should be called Lighthouse. All right, again, save to disk, and there we go. We now have the Lighthouse FBX. Next up, I'm just gonna fire up the Unreal Engine, and we will import our geometry there. All right, so we are in Unreal Engine 5, and the only thing that we need to do is to go to our folder, get to our lighthouse and just drag and drop. This will be just fine. Again, these settings, let's talk a quick talk about these settings, because we need to get the vertex color import option to replace. Otherwise, our vertex colors will not be imported. Then we have to import the normals, make the space, and disable the compute weighted normals. Usually it's enabled by default if I'm not mistaken. Next up, the import uniform scale. We can just type in 100 because Unreal Engine actually works in centimeters, whereas Houdini works in meters. And using really easy calculation, we can see that everything in Unreal Engine should be 100 times larger. All right, everything else, I think what we need to do is remove degenerates, disable this, pretty much disable all of the things that we don't need. And then we can press import all. So have some things going on, and here we go. Wow, this is really big. As you can see, this looks very, very dark. Reason being, first of all, it doesn't have any material. So let's create material and lighthouse mats. All right, cool. Double click, go inside. Let's do first any color that we want, for example white, just so it, or this kind of yellow, save, and of course we select this, drag and drop here, and now it looks better. Right, so but our colors don't seem to work properly, right? So what we're gonna do is right click, start typing vertex color, and there we go, press save, and our vertex colors that were in Houdini indeed have been imported, and it's all working perfectly. However, there is, as you can see, a little bit of a thing. The normals and facets are not working great. So what we're going to do is we're going to utilize our node inside of Houdini. Let's switch to Houdini, fix the normals so they kind of look really, really faceted. Let's say cusp angle 0 actually will be fine. And now, as you can see, the only thing I have to do is press save to disk, go back to Unreal Engine. Where's it? Here we go. Right click, re-import, and here we go. We have our faceted view. Press G to enable the game view, and as you can see, we can now zoom in, zoom out, and fly around, and that's pretty much it actually. There you go. This is our low poly geometry that we modeled in Houdini, rendered in Unreal Engine 5. Everything looks fine. We can enable nanites, but you know, for what it's worth, we can do that. Shouldn't be a big of a problem. And everything works, including the vertex colors, even if we go really, really far away. So there's that. Now you know how to create little dioramas inside of Houdini, export them to Unreal Engine 5, and use the FBX wrap node to do really quick fixes to our things. So there you go. We will talk about more modeling in further videos down the road, but for now, just practice your modeling with using super simple things like grouping, selections, extrusions, circles, tubes, boxes, all the things that are, possibly might be interesting for you to create your geometry for exporting to anywhere else, or really just using inside of Houdini itself. So yeah, hopefully you had fun. Again, if you're interested in the asset files, you can just check out the Patreon, link in the description. And of course, if you have some ideas, suggestions, don't forget to leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe to check out more videos that are coming really soon. And thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.